What's up, everybody? I'm Richard.
And I'm Sean.
And we are speaking the language of sequelmance.
Yes.
No, the language of bromance. The boys are back in town.
The Green Rush of 76, Part 2.
Yes.
So, Richard.
The language of bromance, electric buckaloo.
So, Richard, a couple weeks ago, we released our live episode from the Chicago Podcast Festival. And, you know, we don't let people tell us, like, we don't let people put us in a box too often and be like, hey, you only got so much time. But that's what they did. We're like, hey, we can go for 2 hours. Like, no.
And they're like, please, God.
No.
Please, anything but that.
But the story we found, and if you listen to it, you know, was the story about a plane crash in Yosemite that was carrying a shit ton of marijuana. And we only just scratched the surface of this. We kind of like skimmed a little bit because, like we said, we're under a time crunch. So we felt like this story needed a part 2.
Yeah.
So plane crash, lots of pot. So I felt like we got to touch on the story because there's a lot of stuff in there. There's intrigue. There's, you know, some dude, your lawyer, trying to steal your wife. And if you haven't listened, go back, listen to the episodes.
Trying to steal, done stole.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. Go back 2 episodes, give it a listen, and then jump in this. And Richard, I want to start. This is the thing that made us giggle the loudest. So I guess let's just quick overview. John Glisky, he's a man who flied a plane.
No, wait. Hang on. On the last episode of Language of Bromance. Now go.
Okay. John Gillespie, he was driving a plane, and he was riding with one true buddy, Jeff Nelson. And Jeff Nelson,
I remember.
Yeah. See, Jeff Nelson was a dude, aviators, badass, like, you know, 70s style. He probably had like a long curly hair.
Yeah.
Chewed a toothpick.
Jeff Nelson. Yeah.
So these two flying their plane crash. Had to drop their payload.
He's wearing a shirt. The shirt doesn't have an American flag on it. Sean, the shirt is an American flag. You know what else is? His pants. He's wearing his, and he's not wearing a hat. He's wearing like a headdress, and it's made out of bald eagle feathers.
Yeah. So what happens? Plane crashes. Pot goes all over the place. And let's start this story with the Rangers. So this is Yosemite National Park. So in here, there's some rangers that take care of this stuff. And this is what got me giggling, because this time of year it was like right at the end of winter time, like it's like December-ish time frame.
I would think that rangers wouldn't have much to do in the wintertime.
Well, this is
because to me, rangers are like, they walk around, they take care of the park, they make sure people aren't like, having sex on the hiking trails, and at least that's what they told me their job was.
It's like, sir, no masturbating in the park.
Yeah, and I'm like, you know what? What jurisdiction do you have? And then he busts out this ranger badge, and I'm like, they get badges out for that? And he's like, fuck yeah.
He's like, well, can I? It's like, no, you just committed a federal offense.
Yeah.
It's like, well,
and now if the background check comes, this is gonna pop up, and now you can't be a ranger.
It's like,
I'm like, oh,
but can you blame?
Is there something we could do to overlook this affair? And then he's like, yeah. And then I don't want to talk about the rest, but needless to say, in 2 to 6 weeks, somebody's got a ranger badge coming. Thanks, Amazon.
It's like, well, can you blame me, sir? I mean, nature, it's erotic.
Right?
So during this time frame, they were watching out for what they considered non-traditional visitors. These were essentially hippies and rock climbers. They were out there just smoking dope and camping.
That's wrong. Calling them non-traditional. That's because they don't want to say dirty hippies, but that's what they're thinking.
They want to say dirty hippies, you're right.
Judgmental bastards walking around stopping hippies from having sex on hiking trails.
So Todd Sednetka was the lead ranger here, and this is when they found this plane crash, and he was saying, like, do these guys know where they are? Which I find humorous that, as your rangers come in and say, hey, Skip, guess what? Sarge. I don't know if they have Sarge in this, but we're going to call Tim Sednetka the Sarge. Sarge, we found a down plane. And this first question is, do these guys know where they are? Yeah, Sarge, they're landed?
Did they say it with that inflective kind of question mark tone at the end?
Well, it's a very questiony thing to ask. It's like, well, I mean, we didn't see anybody, so odds are they either hiked out or, they're dead.
Yeah.
And I don't get paid enough to figure that question out.
Yeah, I didn't want to. I mean, it's in the water.
What's funny, though, Seneca was not much older than the kid who reported the crash. So he's not a very old, like, we're looking like 25, maybe 30 at the earliest. But he was
prime ranger years.
Yeah, he was part of the new generation of rangers, Richard, who mixed rock climbing, backcountry camping, and scuba diving with advanced law enforcement techniques, Richard.
Yeah, you know what he is? He's an extreme ranger. He's extreme.
Yeah. No, Richard, he even made up a name for these guys. So what this new form of rangering, what he called them? The Danger Rangers.
Really?
Yeah, these guys have been...
Wait, Sarge called them the Danger Rangers?
Yeah, Sarge Setnica coined this group the Danger Rangers.
Dude, they had to have done something to earn that nickname. You don't just get like you and I, we we go to like a podcast convention, it's like, oh, there's, the Danger Podcasters. Like, we have to do something to earn that. We don't just walk in the door. Or maybe they do. Maybe we should. What if the next time there's a convention, let's just walk in and be like, hi, we're Richard and Sean, the Danger Podcasters. And they'll be like, is that the name of your podcast? And we're like, no, we just like being called the Danger Podcasters.
Somebody's going to be like, hey, how'd you earn that nickname? Like, is that a nickname? Like, did you give that yourselves? No, we earned it. Well, how'd you earn it? Well, you're going to have to listen to find out.
Yeah, because I wrestled an alligator on a podcast.
Yeah.
I wrestled an alligator and Sean recorded it, and then we took turns.
That's how I lost this hand. You just have your hand inside your shirt. No, I don't.
Nuh-uh. What do you know? Where's your hands?
He's like,
they're right there.
He's like, I have a podcast on hand transplants. Oh, that sounds pretty moral.
Well, you can't have mine. I need these.
But they called themselves
Danger Podcaster stuff.
They called themselves the Danger Rangers because they've been trained in everything from reconnaissance to undercover work to traditional coroner's duties.
Wait a minute. Undercover work?
Yeah, well, yeah, they sneak in like, hello, fellow hippies. My name is Rob, and I like to wear shirts made of hemp and talk of peace and government craziness. Oh, look, marijuana. Pass me one of those joints, plees.
I was thinking more like, they dress up as like a bear and then they go up to other bears and they're like, hello, fellow bear. Where are the cool parties this weekend?
This bear's acting aggressive.
I wouldn't have known, but I went undercover and I found out that this bear really doesn't like people, especially people dressed up as bears.
In news this week, Yosemite has killed its 17th aggressive bear. In another note, there's extreme. In another news, if you are looking for a job, the Rangers are hiring as their turnover is relatively high.
Yeah. Not for the Danger Rangers, though.
No, but Richard, these guys were the law in Yosemite, which operated as a city-state in the middle of California's rugged wilderness.
Oh my God, this is like 21 Jump Street, but they're Rangers.
Yeah,
this is what I'm picturing. I'm picturing like a combination between like 21 Jump Street and Super Troopers, but in the woods.
Well, I think it gets better. We touched on it a little bit, but in this situation, like it's a down plane. So the Danger Rangers and Sarge Sedneca are like, listen, this might be a little bit above our pay grade. So he calls the Air Force Rescue Coordination Center and says, hey, we need to report a missing plane.
And the Danger Rangers are like, no, fuck that.
Yeah, send us the kit. We're going to figure this shit out. We're going to crack this case wide open.
Yeah. You know what we need? Danger Rangers.
Danger Rangers. Ranger Rangers.
Undercover Rangers. They
fuck bears.
Bears.
Wait, did you just say we fuck bears? No.
I mean, when you're undercover, anything to maintain the cover, right?
Bylaw number 62 says it is okay to interact with sexual intercourse. Listen, I'm a little frustrated right now because I went out and I found this bear and We had drinks. We had a great time. But guess what? The bear said, hey, I just like you as a friend.
Yeah. Meanwhile, there's another bear that runs out of a cave going, that's entrapment.
It's weird, though, because after a little bit, I realized it was Seneca, and he was in a bear suit. And he didn't realize I was in a bear suit.
We really need to maintain a clipboard or something so we know who's where.
These bear suits are pretty exquisite.
Fooled me.
So they sent that off, and this sent off a chain reaction, Richard, because the DEA and customs and everything were looking for this plane and looking for his name, Glisky, for a while because he was a drug runner. He was a drug flying mule, unicorn, if you will. And they knew that this plane probably had a ton of drugs.
He liked to sleep with couples because he's a unicorn?
No, just because that's the only thing I can think of that would be like flying in the air with drugs. Like a flying mule.
If I found a girl that liked to sleep with couples and flew through the air and had drugs, that would be a unicorn to me.
That's true. But then you got to talk your wife into it. Well,
I could be like, and she flies.
and she's a woman and she wants to have sex with us.
Yeah.
And
I mean, just you. I'll watch at first.
And she promised not to steal our stuff. She's going to steal our stuff, Richard. No, she's not.
No.
You come out later.
She said so.
She was in the living room and she did steal all of our stuff. Rangers. So the DEA, Richard, came in a Vietnam-era Huey from San Diego. So they came right here, and the sound of the aging chopper thundered against the walls of the mile-wide valleys that landed in El Capitan Meadow.
Oh, my God, I forgot about this writer.
Yeah. So everyone, Richard, in Yosemite knew something was up. So the debris was from the downed Howard 500 stretch 3/4 of a mile. And it was basically, they said it pointed like an arrow to Merced Pass Lake, which was covered in ice and a modest dusting of snow.
Okay.
So more than a month had passed since the December crash, and the lake had frozen over, so entombing the plane. So this plane is underneath this lake. So since the plane was on Park Service land, Yosemite Office of Law Enforcement coordinated the investigation. So this is where the Danger Rangers, you get the DEA coming in, you got Danger Ranger.
So they
Rick.
put on fish suits, and they're like, "We got this, Sarge." And they start hopping out.
They jump on the ice.
We're gonna pretend to be mermaids, and we'll we'll get to the bottom of this.
What happened to the other two guys? Pneumonia, frostbite.
Yeah.
We lost a lot of good men out there.
For God's sake, don't make the same mistake twice. Wear a shirt. They were diving into that water with no shirt because they're like, I've never seen a merman wear a shirt.
Yeah, Jason Momoa's not around yet. I wish these guys would fucking pay attention.
Yeah, we saw Aquaman. That's why we got orange suits. So
this is where Seneca, I think he gives a different ranger kind of the lead of this, and it's Lee Shackleton, which that just sounds like a dude wearing a big old cowboy hat.
Yeah, it does.
I'm Lee Shackleton. This is my jurisdiction.
Wee doggy.
So he walks.
Get on out of here with your Huey helicopter and your Amazon ordering badges.
I see you, Mr. D-Man. D-Man. Yeah, it says right there on your shirt, D-Man. Whenever there's two constants next to each other, those letters there, you got to say the E out loud. So it's D. It's like it's DEA. Listen here, you son of a bitch. You're in my jurisdiction.
That's right. You know what I run? I run these trees. And that fish. Not that fish. That fish is just visiting. But that other fish. Oh, buddy. He better not step out of line.
Because I'm Lee Shackleton. I've been here for 2.5 weeks, and this is my 17th gig. What'd you do before? Well, before, I was in charge of the latrines.
Right. But it was at a different park. It was a much smaller park. It was an amusement park. They were porta potties. I was a carny.
We came through here and they kicked me out. Well, they didn't kick me out technically. I was there and then I went to sleep and I woke up and they were gone. My name's not even Lee Shackleton. It's a fake name. I made up my own license. I can't
tell you my real name.
You guys don't work for the government, do you? I can trust you, right? If you're lying to me, if you say you not government, you are, that's entrapment. Like we're the DEA. Yeah, we already talked about that. You're the D.
Yeah.
What's that stand for? Hey, guess what? I gave a bear a D the other day. Get what I mean?
Yeah, it's okay. I was undercover.
It's section article 62B says that intersexual course. And did you say intersexual course? Yeah.
It doesn't count because I paid him first.
It's weird because he sounded like Sarge. So Lee Shackleton ordered his rangers to fan out alongside gun-toting custom agents. So these rangers, I don't think they carry weapons. Like, they don't have guns on them. And they're walking around with these custom agents who had...
Wait a minute, they don't have guns? You don't think they have guns on them? They're out there in the middle of the fucking woods. There's like bears and wolves and mountain lions and shit.
I know there's been weird laws bouncing back.
They gotta be carrying something. If I was a ranger, and it was like my first day, and they're like, okay, like you're gonna be walking out in the woods. Number one, make sure people don't fuck on the trails. Like if you are walking down a hiking trail and you see a bear ass, like you better start telling people to pull their pants up.
Well, what do I do if I see a bear ass? Do I yell, bear? No, not a bear ass, a bear ass. Yeah, a bear ass.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, if he's eating honey or he's going after a picnic basket, he's like, hey, Yogi. Look at that ranger's looking at my bear ass.
One? No, don't kick anything.
B-A-R-E. Yeah, bear. Like a grizzly bear.
Yeah.
Lee, did you ever finish high school?
I don't know. We get guns, right? It's okay. I can legally carry a gun. I brought my bear arms. Do you have fuzzy arms? Well, yeah, that's what the constitute says.
That's what the constellation says.
The what?
The constellations.
We the people.
The second addendum.
Yeah, in the bill of stuff.
Yeah, bill of things.
Uh-huh. That's what it said.
I thought this was the Danger Rangers. Do you guys even know history?
I don't know.
Abraham Lincoln, he fought the British and, gave us freedoms.
Yeah.
And that's why we have Lincoln cars today.
He rode through town, he said the British were coming, and he turned around and he punched them with his robot arms. What?
And then Ford drove a truck and ran over somebody.
Yeah.
In 1492.
And that's why
we have Thanksgiving.
It's a true meaning to Christmas or St. Patrick's Day. I don't remember. The one with snakes.
Yeah. Are there snakes here? I don't like snakes.
I hate snakes. There's mountain lions, though, right?
Here's your badge. Here's your gun. You're hired.
Now get out there.
You get out there and Danger Ranger the fuck out of this park. You got it, Sarge. Wait, do we salute here? No, we don't. Do we put our hand over our heart? I pledge allegiance to the Rangers.
That's in the bill, too. I read it.
It doesn't say that they had guns on them. I don't, but I would assume that Rangers would, but I know like national parks have had like this weird bouncing back and forth where civilians can carry guns or not. So
I'm still hung up on the undercover thing. Like, what if you're a ranger and you've gone under? You're like they have like a deep undercover. Like, oh, I was in deep undercover for like 2 years. Like, do you like come back to work with like fucking sticks and leaves in your hair?
You look
like fucking Tarzan.
No, that's what happens. Lee comes back after being deep undercover for 2 years. He's like, all right, guys, I figured it all out. I'm like, who the fuck are you? I'm Lee Shackleton. Who? I work here.
When?
You're not on any of our paperwork. No, it's 2 years ago. I've been deep undercover.
Yeah.
What day were you hired? July 4th, the year of our Lord.
I was doing great. And then this Matt Damon character showed up, and I think he was infiltrating the Rangers. See, because it'd be like The Departed.
Oh, yeah.
So Lee Shackleton is the undercover in the forest. And then there's a bear that's like working with the Rangers.
Working the front desk.
Yeah.
Good night, Steve. Good night, Officer George.
Sorry, I'm kind of hangry. Is there anything to eat around here? Like, I don't know, bag of chips,
honey,
raw salmon,
picnic baskets.
Your face.
Oh God, a bear ass. Oh no, there's no bear ass here. There's no bear ass here.
He could legally carry a gun because he's got bear arms.
Yeah. Let's see. So they kind of spread out, and they found, and we talked about this. There were 6,000 pounds of marijuana on this plane.
Yeah, which is a fuck ton.
Yeah, it's a lot. And as they're pulling out a few bales that they could find that were kind of like decaying stumps of it, they pulled close to 2,000 pounds of this marijuana. So
see, but we talked. I think we talked about this because the math was, you said 6,000. They said they found 2,000. So that means
4,000
theoretically there's 4,000 pounds of sweet, sticky goodness in the middle of Yosemite National Park.
Yep. So Sarge Seneca, not the guy who's running it, but the one in charge, he says it became a recovery of drudgery because we used chainsaws to cut out these bales of marijuana, which were frozen. Oh my gosh, it'd be like a frozen marijuana daiquiri.
Or,
do you think if you go swimming in that lake today, you get high?
No.
I don't know.
It's too much water. It would dilute the whole thing.
Even
plus, like,
I guess if it's a big lake.
Well, and also, like, what's that gonna do? Like, it's not like you put marijuana in a glass of water and then drink it, and then you're like, "Oh my god!" Like, that's not how drugs work.
I've been drinking weed wrong my whole life. But wait, in Grandma's Boy, they drank that pot because they thought it was tea and they got high. You tell me that doesn't actually work?
Okay.
Because you eat it
yes
too.
And no.
You grind it up into brownies and eat it.
Yes, you can. You can. Yeah, that's what the whole edible thing is. But it takes a lot to make, like, basically, okay, say you have like an ounce. Like, you either need a lot of weed or you need like really highly concentrated weed. Like hemp butter, which usually takes, like, it's not, you can't like crumble up a joint on top of a brownie and eat it and expect to be like, oh my god. Like, you're gonna get like 5-10% of that joint in terms of the effects, and that's being generous.
Gotcha. So they use more potent weed, or they use more weed when they do brownies and stuff.
Right. So like with the tea thing, like you were saying, like, I'm sure they used a lot, or they used like a very potent strain, and
Gotcha.
then seeped it in tea and whatever. Because you can do that. It just it kind of seems unnecessary, I guess I would say. Or so I read in a book.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you don't, like, some people don't like to smoke
because of Dare Frog said so.
I mean, I would assume in smoking things is worse than like drinking it or eating it. Like, in terms of healthiness for your lungs and stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're saying what's healthier for your lungs, to smoke it or eat it, if you eat it, then it's not dealing with your lungs at all.
Yeah.
It's a whole separate system.
No, I know, but
there's
if you're going to
the lungs and then there's the stomach. Do you know how the human body works?
Yeah, no, what I'm saying is that if like, so like, weed's healthier than anything like alcohol or drinking, but if you smoke weed compared to like eating it or drinking it, like any concern of like health issues really kind of go completely out the window then. Because I assume like bringing smoke into your lungs is not good no matter what it is. I mean, obviously it's better than cigarettes, but
True. If you're asking what the healthiest way to imbibe a marijuana is, I would probably either through an edible, or you get yourself like a vaporizer. You get yourself a vaporizer, and then you're good to go. Because then
just throw it in a dehumidifier, like you would with like Vicks.
Well, I don't know if you've ever seen them, but like they just like attach like a big long bag to it. Like, imagine like a bag that's like kind of cylinder shaped, that's full of smoke, and then they just kind of like, it's attached to the vaporizer, and then when it's ready, they just detach it and then just.
But it's liquid, right? It's not smoke,
right? I mean, it's just like everybody walks around with the fucking vape pens. It's it's pretty much the same thing.
But anyway, so back to the story at hand with pot. Now that we learned that the safest way to have marijuana. So these big bales, so they were heavy and they broke apart and they were wet. So I mean, you think like I think we talked about this. These were like 100 pounds or 40-pound bales, And you think
Yeah,
trying to
that's-
carry
yeah,
one of
that-
those soaking wet, I mean, it probably doubles in weight. I mean, these are probably like 120, 150 pound bales of soap.
Well, plus you said they were
frozen
like,
weed.
I was gonna say they're entombed in ice.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what
I
they
would
use
think
the
that being entombed in ice, I would think that would like kind of like what's the point in recovering it?
I mean, finding it before other people do, I think, is the concern. So the DEA wants to
Yeah,
get
but
as
what
much
are
of
they
as
going to do
can.
with it? I would think it's essentially ruined at this point.
I don't
mean,
know.
You can dry it out, but I don't think that's really going to.
Well, that's what we
help.
talked about later. That like people that found that they basically did dry it out and sell it. I mean, you think about like even the stuff that didn't get in the lake and people went back up there to find it. I mean, anything sitting out in the elements for long enough is going to get wet.
Much like myself. Yeah.
Look at that bare ass. Growl for me. So they were using these chainsaws to cut the ice, and the chainsaw blades didn't last long because, I mean, it's thick ice, chainsaw blades, and this is the 70s, so they're probably better quality then than they are now.
Well, this is probably not. I mean, that's not what a chainsaw is designed to do. It's
That's true.
not really designed to cut through ice.
Yeah. I don't know I would imagine that would be harder than a tree.
I would think it would be harder on the blade than a tree.
Well, yeah, because I mean, in terms of, I mean, it depends on the hardness of whatever you're cutting.
Well, and also just the way a chainsaw blade is designed. It's designed to cut through wood, not ice. It's like how you have different types of screws. You know, you have wood screws, you have cement screws, you have drywall screws.
Yeah, let's see. So the blades were getting rough, blah, blah, blah. They cut out the obvious ones. I think, again, just to make sure they could get all the stuff that they could. What's interesting, though, is they opened up holes. They actually had Yosemite's dive team going in there to see what they could find. So this is the Danger Rangers like, oh, my God, this is our fucking moment. Ice dive.
Get the scuba gear.
Lee Shackleton is like, I got this, boss. We're going to get our ice diving badge. He's like, we don't give badges out here.
We're not the Boy Scouts. That's not how this works.
Wait, I thought that's what we were doing.
I'm imagining Lee Shackleton with like a cowboy hat. Kind of looks like Boss Hogg.
Like young Boss Hogg. He's not fat. I don't think he's fat. But he's not really fit. He's like,
But like they go
skinny
scuba
fat.
diving and he's still got the cowboy hat on.
Yeah.
And
He
people are
forgets
like
it.
amazed, like, how the fuck does that hat stay on when he's swimming underwater?
He's actually
he
got
does it.
He's got it like glued to his head because on top of his head he can't grow hair. So he always
Yeah.
wears the cowboy hat. So
'Cause
the
he's,
water,
self-conscious.
yeah. I'm starting to lose my hair, I think.
You're not. No, you're not. I said that about myself. I said I was starting to lose my hair, and you were like, no.
Yeah.
We've had this. We've talked about this because we were like, because I said that no, like there's no history of baldness in my family on my mother's or father's side, so I'm not terribly worried.
Yeah. I told you over masturbating you can lose your hair.
Yeah,
And then I
and
stopped
that's
for
why
a day.
you brought up like I'm going bald.
So as they're diving, the water was murky because of the aviation and hydraulic fluids, so visibility was pretty minimal. When the plane went in the water, all these bits and pieces of aluminum broke off and were floating to the surface. They got frozen in place, so now you had a couple feet of metal hanging down, and you had stuff on the bottom as well. So these guys were diving in basically kind of like an
obstacle course of sharp, jagged metal, and they're down underwater.
Yeah, you don't know, like you got a wetsuit on that probably is keeping you like from dying, but like any kind of like metal that hits it and cuts it, like you're gonna start freezing to death.
Yeah. And then there's ice sharks.
There are ice sharks, yeah.
Are there? I just made that up to freak you out. Is that true?
Yeah, there's ice sharks.
Like sharks in the ice water?
No, there's no ice sharks.
You bastard. Maybe it's made of ice.
The sharks
Oh
are
my
made
God,
of
it's
ice?
like a White Walker shark.
Oh shit, that would freak the fuck out of me.
Wouldn't it?
Actually, no, it wouldn't, because if you got in the water and there's ice sharks, you would die of hypothermia before they eat you. And you'd probably be happy they'd eat you because you couldn't feel anything anyway. Like, oh my God, this is horrible. Chomp. It's like, oh, thank God, I feel warm now.
Yeah. Let me get in the warmth of your stomach. Yeah, but I mean, if you had the choice between dying of hypothermia or getting eaten by an ice shark, I'm still going with hypothermia.
Oh, I don't know. Have you ever got in the shower when it's cold and you're like, fuck this? Or you getting like a bathtub and it's too cold? That's
my God.
That's probably like 70 or 80 degree water, Richard.
That's true. Fucking my shower, I swear. the ideal temperature for my shower is somewhere between there and I know that it's a visual joke, so bear with me. There's the ideal temperature for my shower is somewhere between there and there.
Like in your place, like if it's too far one way or the other.
If it's too far one way or the other, it's either scalding fucking hot or it's ice cubes coming out of my shower. But it's right between here, like here and here. As you notice, I didn't move my hands at all because that's how goddamn sensitive it is. I spend like 20 minutes like trying to move it like just an inch one way or the other.
Yeah, I hate when you run in. Like ours isn't too bad except it takes like 15 minutes for the shower to warm up. But once it's warm, it's warm.
Nice.
Yeah, you just keep like ticking it hotter and hotter because you run out of warm water. And then the wife flushes the toilet and you shriek because it gets cold. I know. Women.
And then she loses just a little bit of respect because she heard you shriek.
Yeah. What was that? Ice shark?
I stepped on a very small duck.
So they actually brought in some commercial divers because the Danger Rangers are like, you guys are fucking like about to die every time you come up. You're like, I can't see anything. Ice sharks.
There's White Walker sharks down here.
So they
saw them. They got blue eyes.
They brought in a commercial divers from Fresno to try and recover the bodies from the plane. So they think that the people in the cockpit are still there. But because of all the...
In the cockpit?
Yeah, because the cockpit's like in the lake, frozen over.
Well, I know, but like, they're at the bottom of a frozen lake. What's to rush?
You are a heartless son of a
anywhere.
bitch.
I'm just saying they're not going anywhere. They're it's not like the fucking the kids in the cave that Bezos sent or Elon Musk or whoever the fuck, I don't know, sent the goddamn...
Oh, yeah. To save them from the flood or whatever?
Yeah.
No, but you'd be the guy like in the rowboat, like when the Titanic went down, you'd be like, well, they're in the water. What's the fucking rush? I hear some of them screaming.
I'm sure there's doors.
I bet there's...
there's doors there and everybody can fit on those.
So back in the valley, Rangers offloaded the bales and cataloged them as evidence. So Yosemite's jails took up a portion of the second floor of this battleship gray building, and it also served as the firehouse. So like top level is the Danger Rangers jailhouse. Bottom level is the firehouse. And it's two different...
Danger Rangers jailhouse. If I am ever a superhero, that's what I want the name of my base to be. Some people have the Fortress of Solitude. Some people have the Batcave. I'm going to have the Danger Ranger jailhouse.
I feel like that's going to be the name of my strip club. Danger Ranger Firehouse.
And they're all going to dress up as bears
and firefighters,
ice sharks, and mer people.
So it's two different groups. So you got the Danger Rangers, but then you got the firefighters. So it's two different kinds of like departments. So they closed down one side of the jail and they put the bags of marijuana in the cell. But they came in like giant ice cubes with all the vegetable material and green leafy substance frozen. Over time, Richard, the bales began to thaw and became runny, just like if you had a package of spinach out of the freezer.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks because it's all like green, murky water everywhere.
Gooey. Smells
oh my God,
funny.
like how, like, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, then Sarge walks, he's like, are you guys fucking smoking goddamn weed in here?
Are you smoking that frozen skunk weed?
It's the water I'll pee in a cup. I'll do it, Sarge.
So the melting bales, and it started to have a runoff, and the drain became choked with stems and plant matter. Yosemite's fire brigade occupied the office below, like we said, and the fire chief, Don Cross, stormed up the stairs. He says, you gotta do something with this stuff, he bellowed.
Oh my gosh.
Imagine this a dude.
So angry. And then meanwhile, the Danger Rangers are sitting up there. They're like, chill out, man. Like, it's just a little weed water.
Yeah. But
haven't you ever spilled your bomb before? No, I haven't. Because I listened to the Dare Frog.
Yeah, my name is Don Cross, and I don't cross any lines.
Yeah. and I'm always cross because I've never known what drugs taste like.
You know what
or
you
the
sound like,
pleasure of a
Stilinski?
woman.
You sound like one of those fucking non-traditional Yosemite Park people.
Just say hippies. I will not.
So the pot-tinged water was dripping onto his dispatcher's desk. So Don crosses down there, and his dispatcher's like got a cup underneath the.
He's like catching it.
Bloop. And he sees him take a drink.
What's the matter, Captain? It's like tea, right? I love this new tea dispenser. I feel funny.
I'm always so hungry. Our intern, Bear McBearson, I accidentally ate his honey bread, and he is not happy.
Nope. You say he put his name on it in the fridge.
Officer, Sarge Cross, somebody ate my honey.
Captain,
I will not
I
stand
demand
this.
justice.
I cannot bear this anymore.
I hate you so much.
So exhausted Rangers began to move the dozens of bail from the second-story jail to a walk-in storage freezer. So they're going to refreeze this, Richard.
Oh,
And I don't know if you know.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
Don't refreeze stuff.
Yeah, if you ever bring something out of the freezer and have to refreeze it, might as well cook it or throw it away.
Exactly, because it's going to get freezer burnt. It's going to get covered in ice crystals, and the whole thing's going to be shit.
So up at the lake, Lee Shackleton, with his big old cowboy hat, got word that a massive storm front was starting to roll in. So all the groups then decide, it's like, listen, let's catalog what we have, collect it. We'll let this winter storm pass, and we'll come back up in a month or two. Because again, at this time of year, like whenever the weather...
Who's going to show up while we're gone? The non-traditional camp goers?
They're
Say
going to be...
hippies, Lee. Fuck you.
I will not say that H word. Don't you paint me one of those hippie haters.
Don't you paint me.
So this,
put me
Richard...
in a box, goddammit.
We talked about this in our last story, but this is where we find out that there's a little bit of a love triangle between John Glusky, the pilot, and his wife, Pam. So their lawyer...
Right. Who's the third... No, the lawyer's the third prong in this love triangle. Because it's the pilot's wife, and the lawyer. Because the wife obviously is married to the pilot, but then she's also sleeping with the lawyer.
Yeah, and the lawyer's name was Jeffrey Steinborn. So let's recap.
Like it.
So we've got Polisky and Pam. Those two are married.
I love these names.
Yeah, they're good names. Jeffrey Steinborn is their lawyer, and the other person on the plane was Jeff Nelson.
Caw-caw.
So
Jeffrey Steinborn. I object, Your Honor. All right, Steinborn, but you better watch yourself.
So Steinborn, Pam reached out to Steinborn. He learns of this. So he goes to Yosemite, and he's wandering around, eavesdropping. He's dressed as a bear because he basically joined like the Rangers for a day, like to try and infiltrate. And they're like, well, we got so much going on. Stackleton. Is it Stackleton?
Shackleton.
Shackleton's up there. He's got this big case. I think he's going to break it right open. We might even up him to 1-star private.
Like 1-star what? Like Yelp? No, not like Yelp.
Like, well, we do have some undercover work. He's like, I'm in. We got to dress as a bear.
Oh.
All right.
Had me a dress up.
So Steinborn's kind of listening to all this stuff, and he learns what's going on and figures out that they did not find all the pot. So this is what we talked about in his last night in Yosemite.
Because he could probably do math.
Yeah. So on the last night in Yosemite, he noticed a fire burning in the campground nearby. So he goes up there.
Shit.
And lets him, because his reasoning for this is because he knew that Glusky and Jeff Nelson were both dead. And it's kind of romantic to an extent, but he just had this romantic notion that someone should smoke that beautiful weed those guys were bringing back from Mexico.
You know, like, I know he's kind of an asshole because he's sleeping with his client's wife, but like, yeah, like I'm down with that. I could get behind that. I could totally get behind that.
So he
like, you know what? It's just sitting there.
Yeah. Go up, hike. I mean, these guys are rock climbers, like most of them are.
Yeah.
So he tells this one group, and just like a wildfire, rumors spread. So people, rumors are it's a Colombian plane. It was owned by the mafia. It was a part of a secret government program. There was rumors that there's weed up there, which there was, but then there's also rumors of cocaine, cash. There's rumors that it was a trap or that it was a myth, but no matter what, people knew that this was going to be the score of a lifetime. Because if you could go up there, search around, find, 15, 20 pounds of weed, go and sell it, you can make a decent little cut, right? Or you could just smoke it yourself if you're into that. Or mix it in your tea or your brownies or whatever. Yeah. Whatever you find healthier, if you're more health conscious.
I sometimes, when I'm just hanging on and I just want to, I just want to relax, but do it in a safe and healthy manner because, my body's a temple. That's when I bust out the weed cookies.
So there were only about 20 climbers living in Camp 4 over the winter. The Stone Masters held special statuses in the campground. There were legends of big wall climbing. There's John Batcher, Jim Bridgewell. These, I guess the
names of like a posse.
You know what's funny is they call themselves the Stone Masters. I wonder if they were like basically potheads. Those will play on words. It's like we need a cool name, something with masters. Stone, yeah, Stone. I'm Stone. No, Stone Masters. All right, that works for me.
Oh, whatever. I mean, to each his own. You want to try on this bear outfit?
So these guys, decided to kind of climb and start looking. We talked to this one guy named Strader. He was quoted in here. He says, I was there to climb, so I wasn't really paying attention until people started saying, oh, yeah, there's bales of pot up there if you go get one. Then suddenly you're going, it could be worth some money, and I don't have any money. Isn't that kind of like how all drug stories start?
Yeah.
Isn't that like how podcasting starts too? Like, oh my God, there's tons of money. Well, I don't have money.
We'll just do it. I'm sure they'll find some. It'll be super easy.
It's like the underwear gnomes. It's like first underwear, second step, third step, profit. What about that second step? You weren't listening. First step, underwear. Second step, third step, profit. So everyone was going up there. Everyone. Some people went more than once. These people did really well, they said. So they're going up there, and like people were finding this stuff for a while. So it was early April when Strader decided to go lower Mercer Pass Lake. His parents were visiting Yosemite, and so he just wanted to go to climb. So Strader and two friends got a ride up to Glacier Point Road, which is part of Yosemite, and there were only a few snowstorms during the drought that winter. So it was a pretty dry winter. So there wasn't a ton of snow. So a lot of the stuff was kind of left untampered with, really. So they had their backpacks, which were empty. They had a sleeping bag and a jacket, and he just wore some tennis shoes. So they trekked up in search of that green gold.
I love it. I like how people are like, we know what? There's something up there, and we're gonna go find it. I love it. I love people get this like fire in them, and it's like all these people from different walks of life, and they're like, you know what? We're going up there. We're gonna find some weed, and we're gonna smoke it, and it's gonna be great.
I mean, this is definitely like the gold rush of '49, but it's the green rush of '76.
I love it.
So they had an axe, sticks, poles, stuff to kind of chop the ice. And he says that he remembers chopping the ice. We dug one hole, didn't find anything. It was like 3 feet thick, and when you're chopping the ice, it splashes back at you, which would be fucking cold as shit.
Yeah, no joke.
So their hands stung with cold. When they broke through, Strader went back to the shore and found some fuel line among the scattered debris that the Rangers have left behind. He bent in an L shape and stuck his arm into the frigid water. With his face lowered into the 3-foot hole, he smelled the fuel in the lake. So again, if you're health conscious, probably not a good thing.
Yeah, I was. Like, you know what? I think I'm gonna make this into cookies because my body's a temple. Let me just go stick my head in this fucking vat of gasoline real quick.
So he probed until he stuck something solid and buoyant 8 or 9 feet from the hole. That's pretty fucking deep.
Damn, yeah.
Like you
8
think
or 9
about it,
feet deep.
Yeah, and so they got like a 3-foot hole, and so he's prodding in there, trying to stick something. And I don't know about you, but like frozen lake water makes me a little nervous because if you fall in and if you can't find your hole, I've heard like you're fucked.
They said that's the downside with like, especially if like you fall in like a river or something, because once you go in, then your whole
pushes
you get sent downstream and there's no way you can get out. And it's not like you can't like punch your way out because the rushing water's taking away all your force. So it's not like you can just like break through later on down the stream.
Don't mess with frozen water.
So the question is if that happens, do you drown first, or is it drowning or hypothermia? Like, what's going to kill you quickest? This is making me sad.
That's a tough question.
Drowning in lakes, getting frozen to death.
But this guy, so they
trapped bears.
So
nothing but bad in this story.
So they were kind of poking and found something. They pulled it out, and they found a burlap sack that they pulled out, and it had a marijuana leaf stenciled on the side. So it was wrapped with. This is him.
Like, what's in here?
Yeah.
Plane parts.
It was wrapped with like 3 layers of plastic, but the buds were soaking wet. Some parts were more exposed to airplane fuel than others. So, of course, these guys were kind of nervous, but it was trippy, right? So they were pretty scared, and they got the hell out of there. So they just carried it out wet. So they found this thing, carried it out wet. I don't know, it was probably like 15, 20 pounds. So a good chunk, right?
Probably.
Let's see.
Here, let's just put this gasoline-soaked ice brick into our car. Is that's the line of logic we're going with here?
Yeah, and as they're running out, it gets dark. They don't have any lights, so they're kind of running, blind pretty much. So all these bears.
Somebody's like, "It's okay, I've got a torch." No.
Well, at least it was one good high.
Yeah.
So they get back
now
to
I can see the way.
So they get back to the camp where their parents were too, and they stashed the wet weed in one of their tents, and then went to see his parents. So it's like, mom and dad's like, "So what do you guys do?"
Yeah. Do you smell
Bible
gas?
study?
I smell gas.
So in lean times, when pot was a prized commodity, it might have even been possible to get rid of a large quantity of stuff in the park. But by April of 1977, Yosemite was awash with weed. People called the new stuff airplane and crash buds, laced with traces of aviation fuel. It occasionally sparkled and crackled when smoked, and the hit was harsh.
Yeah, because it's damn. Like, you gotta be hard. Like, I don't know. Maybe I've been spoiled in terms of imbibed substances, but I would think that like if somebody was like, "Hey, do you want to smoke this gasoline-soaked bud?" I'd be like, "I don't know. Like that doesn't sound like a good idea. That doesn't sound like I'm picturing I'm seeing a picture of somebody do this, and then there's a big circle and a line through said picture.
I don't know.
And I'm sure it hit harsher because you're also smoking gasoline fumes.
Not just gasoline, like airplane fuel. I think it's a little bit more like oily.
You're soaking, you're taking that in too.
Giving yourself
the end of the story is going to be that everybody died from cancer, isn't it?
Yeah, probably. So Strader knew they had to get it out of the park. So we talked about this story last time too. So these were the guys that they got in the car, they drove, they had a flat tire, they had a cop shows up but drives past them, kind of a scare. They end up taking this weed to L.A., trying to sell it. They have some issues selling it, and finally they sell enough that Strader gets a train ticket back to his hometown of Sacramento, and he just gives it to a friend to sell. So he didn't really do a whole lot with it.
His plan wasn't to. I thought his plan wasn't to sell it like right off the jump. He's like, I just want to get up there and smoke some.
No, these guys were basically they knew it was going to be worth some money. He was the one that said that he knew that there was weed up there, and there was money up there, and he didn't have any. But like he's quoted here saying I just said to him, this is what he's talking to his buddy he gave it to, get what you can for it, make some money, and give me whatever. He says, I'm not a drug dealer. It was such a scary, eye-opening experience. And one of the experiences he talks about when they're in L.A., they had all the drugs there, and they're meeting somebody in a hotel. And when somebody knocked on the door, which I think was just housekeeping, when he turned around, one of his buddies had a pistol out.
Oh, shit.
They learned that guy was part of the army, I believe, and was AWOL. And so that was probably like a come to Jesus moment of like, Huh.
I'm sitting in a hotel room with 20 pounds of gasoline-soaked marijuana, a guy that, probably I shouldn't be doing anything with, let alone trying to sell said gasoline-soaked marijuana. And there was a series of bad decisions that led to me to where I'm at today.
Yeah. I'm just going to go back to school. So by Easter weekend,
Mom was right.
So by Easter weekend, word had spread outside the park, and people were coming by the busloads from Fresno, San Jose, all over trying to find this weed.
Yeah, I would too. If I lived in the area and somebody was like, "Hey, there's 4,000 pounds of weed somewhere in the woods," I'd be like, "Fuck yeah, let's go find some."
What's scary though is that and this says it in here, it seems to bring in a lot of sketchy people. So when spring came, you started hearing all these stories. Being the guy who found the wing, I said, I got to go up there. So this is one of the danger rangers. So after work one day, I took a backpack with nothing but a sleeping bag and a little food, an ice axe, and some plastic bags. So Shackleton's like, "Hey, where you going, Rook?" He's like, I've been fucking here longer than you, and it's none of your business.
Yeah.
You gonna go get some weed, Rook?
Yeah. Is that what you're doing?
Fuck you, Shackleton. Your hat's on backwards.
Are you bringing your bear outfit, huh? Gonna find a nice comfy cave to sleep in?
I wonder how many of those rangers pocketed their own weed.
Oh, my evenings are my business, Sarge.
So at the height of the so-called gold rush, 20 or more people were mining the lake at the same time. There's a guy here called Vern Clevenger who spent his winters in nearby Mammoth. He returned to the park.
I'm sure that's going to be like a whole bunch of awkward situations, like a bunch of people standing by the lake. "Hey, what are you here for?" Fishing.
Are you a cop? If you don't tell me, and you are, it's entrapment.
What are you doing?
Bear watching. Also fishing. I'm looking for mermaids and ice sharks.
Yeah. You're not going to find any ice sharks. Why? Because they don't exist? No, it's April.
So they had heard that there wasn't
ice sharks in April.
This Vern Clevenger said that we heard that there wasn't a lot of dope sitting on top of the lake anymore. And my girlfriend's father was head of a road crew, so we stole his chainsaw and carried it up there. We took turns sawing through the ice. That's how we got a lot of marijuana from the lake. Let's see. So, but with so many outsiders, the mood was tense, he said. So this is Clevenger talking about, so this is where you're talking about, I imagine this is just like the gold rush. People find the spot. And if you found gold in the gold rush, it was kind of a wild, untamed place.
Yeah.
You be careful because oh my God, I just found gold.
Yeah. You keep that shit to yourself because AWOL people are pulling out pistols and shit.
Well, back then, in the 49ers times, it'd probably be an axe to the back of the head. And it's oh, guess what? Somebody floated down the river. Oh my God, it looks like he got hit in the head with an axe. I wonder what it was.
Must have killed himself.
Yeah, or a bear.
Yeah.
Or ice sharks.
Will someone ever stop this epidemic of bears killing people with pickaxes?
So Clevenger said that this brought a lot of drug dealers, low-life types from the Central Valley. Some guy he talked to came over and started to take our stuff. And one of my friends, who was a real hard ass, held his saw out about 3 inches from the guy's neck. He was saying, "I'm going to fuck with you. Don't come any closer." So that was the end of that. Honestly, by then we had too much to carry out anyway. So they had a shit ton of weed. Starts getting a little scary. So he's like, "Fuck this. I'm out."
Not good.
So we talk about the situation happening. Our danger rangers, we think they're a lot of dick slaps, right?
Yeah.
But obviously they got to figure this out, right? And they weren't oblivious. As head of the search and rescue, Tim Setnica, this is Sarge, began to hear insinuating comments from the climbers he worked with and with whom he had developed a mutual respect.
Okay. Yeah, because, I remember that night that we all worked undercover together and we slept in the cave. You said we'd never talk about that again, Sarge.
What happens undercover stays undercover.
We just had to we were trying to keep warm.
And what's funny is he says that there's a lot of young kids who had never gone diving suddenly seemed intent on learning in Yosemite in, freezing cold water.
I'm sure they did.
One of the interesting things we talked about, I think, last time. So some of the climbers squirreled away their earnings, right? It's you jump into a bunch of money, you go out, you get rid of it. You're I'm going to blow all this fucking money. But some of them, one who was a famous part of the Stonemasters, John Batcher, was rumored to have used his cash to help fund his successful climbing gear company.
Nice. Oh, see, so Like I figured you were just gonna there was gonna be a series of bad endings to people's stories that you were gonna give me, but that's nice.
Yeah, no, he did good. Likens, the guy who found the wing, traded his windfall for a couple years of college tuition.
Oh, there you go.
Vern Clevenger, we mentioned him a little bit, bought his first Nikon with some of his weed money. And
see, if that had happened like 40 years later, then he would have used his portion of the money to buy a textbook.
Yeah, a semester of college.
If that.
Clevenger he bought his first Nikon. He became an acclaimed nature photographer. So he kind of gave back.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah.
Makes me feel good.
This whole thing is kind of like stuff of legends too. It's likely the biggest amounts brought in exceeded $20,000, which is a tremendous amount of money in 77.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So let's end this, Richard. This is so all good things come to an end, right? So on April 13th, which would later be known as Big Wednesday, 6 armed rangers boarded a Huey. So this is like Shetnica. You know, Lee is like, all right, fuck these fucking non-traditional campers.
I will be the first to step on the field.
Yeah,
I will be the last to step off.
He starts handing out rifles. Like, where the fuck did you get these? We're not even allowed to carry guns. He's like, I got them from the D. The D? Who the fuck's the D?
You know, the D.
How do you spell that? DEA? Wait a second.
You mean the DEA?
It's like, fuck you, follow me to the helicopter. Where the fuck did you get a helicopter? So somehow they commandeer a Huey, and they end up going to where all this is. And by all reports, Richard, it was like ants scattering.
Oh, shit.
So the people up there had created this infrastructure kind of like Viet Cong put in some of areas of Vietnam. There's makeshift housing tents. Like, they made a city. They made a mining city.
Oh. My heart is full.
But the Park Service kind of got a little bit embarrassed because, you know, the crash site had been discovered. And we'll end on this quote from Setnik. He said, "We underestimated the entrepreneurial spirit of certain members of the community."
And you know what? They shouldn't have.
Yeah. So after they kind of scared everybody off, they left 2 rangers up there who kind of kept track of it. They're given rations, equipment, and they just kind of monitored it for a bit. And whenever somebody came up, they actually rigged some tripwires and stuff to ration cans. So that, I mean,
all right.
They made it pretty legit. But they kind of kept everybody away. But and if you didn't listen to the last episode, what you do learn is that Pam did find out that her husband had passed away. Died in the plane crash. It was.
I was going to say passed away. You say it like it was all nice.
Yeah.
No, he died in the fucking plane crash.
So it was Galiski.
He was at the bottom of that lake.
Yeah, it was Galiski and his partner Jeff Nelson.
Caca!
And I guess now she's probably just getting pounded by the lawyer.
Yeah, he is. She opens her legs and she's like, "I'll allow it."
Actually,
watch yourself.
The sad thing is, it was 30 years later before she finally figured out that he died in the crash. I guess one of his high school friends was looking at some pictures from the crash site and saw his body, which is not really how you'd want to find out, but.
Well, no, but I think after like 30 years, I think you've pretty much made the assumption, right?
Yeah, and we'll finish with Pam's quote on this. So she was kind of asked about it, and she said that the climbers got a chance to push the limits of their sport. John would have loved that.
Aww.
Yeah. So, Richard,
I like it.
The Green Rush of 76. Some people made some money. Some people made some money and lost it. Some people probably got threatened, but.
And everybody smoked a bunch of weed soaked in jet fuel.
Yeah.
So to wrap this up, I will say that if there's one thing that makes me feel good, it's the entrepreneurial spirit.
That's true.
I love it. I love hearing like the story. Like, I'm sure there's like countless other stories, but I like hearing like, oh, well, these guys hiked into the woods and they found some weed and then they took it and then they sold it and it worked out for them. And these people, it worked out for them too.
You know,
it was like it was like a redistribution, you know, like this one plane crashed and a bunch of people benefit. It's like pay it forward, but with weed, and it's awesome.
Yeah, what it really is like when you think about it, these people kind of said like, well, I mean, we just have these non-traditional hippies. I'm going to say it now. These fucking hippies, they're too lazy to come up here and do whatever. And they were not like given their due. They were like,
that's
what, weed?
Right.
I can make money and get high? Fuck yeah, let's climb.
Sometimes it pays to be non-traditional.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me do a little bit of housekeeping as we bring this green rush to an end. Visit our website. We're at languageofbros.com. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We're at languageofbro, and email us at eatthebeaver@languageofbros.com. You can like us on Facebook. And remember, we are part of the Pod Bros Network.
The Green Rush of podcast internet websites?
The official podcast of the Green Rush 2018.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Actually,
Are you saying
2019.
Are you saying there's a block of weed somewhere?
I'm sure there is somewhere. It's January of 2019. I bet there is.
Yeah.
And if you are doing a little bit of shopping post New Year's Eve, we have an Amazon link in the show notes. There's no extra cost to you. Just click that link, do your normal shopping, and we'll get a tiny little bit kickback. Helps us out a little.
Perfect.
All right. Was there anything else before I close her out?
Nope.
All right. Well, that's all the bros we have for this show. I'm Sean.
And I'm Richard.
And oh my God, after that pot tea, I say we eat the beaver.
Probably would have gotten better if you smoked it. You lightweight. I don't care what the frog said.